this is a reminder to you, just remember to be kind to yourself. See, lately, I've been very hard on myself, even with this work, right? This spiritual process, this warrior spirit that I like to envelop, that I like to explain, being accountable, being dedicated, being passionate, right? Stepping into who I'm meant to be every single day, doing the right things, right? In my own mind, in my own belief system, like what is the right thing? Like how should I act? How should I be? Like what is the greatest version of myself? Asking myself these questions every day is amazing, but it also can create a sort of tension around it that can block flow. And a lot of times it's just being self-critical. And the sooner that you can let go of that tension, when you either fall from grace or things just don't go the way that you expected them to go, or you act in ways like you have to accept where you are. So what I've really been learning and leaning into is like, sometimes I get mad at myself for not being where I think I should be, right? I think I should be fully evolved, fully ascended, right? Fully this incredible, like just skip the line basically and just become this full, like incredible, like manifesting, like totally like never gets jealous, never gets flustered, never gets annoyed, right? And that's a lot to ask for a human being, right? But the more that you can have compassion and really, really love yourself enough to feel where you're at and kind of accept it and move through it, I mean, that is ultimately the path to your greatest self. So it's kind of a paradox in a way. By being your best self, you have to have the discipline. But like in all things, you need balance of the masculine and feminine qualities. So for myself lately, I've really been trying to let go of those times and those moments where I'm just like I feel so dedicated and I feel like I have such high standards for myself that if I fall even slightly, right, or just don't, act in accordance with myself, like getting back into that goodness, getting back into that higher vibration where I can say, okay, like we're going to review, right? I'm not just going to wing it. Like I'm going to have the tools. I'm going to review how I want to act, the feelings that I want to feel in my new life and how the greatest version of myself would deal with these things in my life. But having the compassion and the respect for myself, treating myself like a friend, basically. I mean, like Jordan Peterson said, treat yourself like someone you're responsible for taking care of. And sometimes I treat myself like a drill instructor. I'm just like, what do you mean you're reacting to that? Like, what? Like, how is this making you feel this kind of way? Like, really, like this little thing, like, you expect it, and remembering that you're the one in the driver's seat, right? That I feel like I need to be in control of my emotional responses. That's my responsibility. My happiness, your happiness is your responsibility. And when I start projecting and I see like, okay, like this person, right, this new person in my life, like they didn't text me back, right, for a certain amount of time, and I start making all these connections and all these projections from my past, and I'm projecting it onto this person, like, oh, like they're not, I'm not that important to them, or they're not, whatever it is, right? I'm not worthy of their time, or I'm annoying, or I'm too much, or whatever. These things that even if that was totally the truth, right, in the scenario, I have to be fully embodied with myself, own myself, love myself enough to, to see that and to hear that and to not take it personally and to just continue to be my greatest version. If someone doesn't vibe with me, that's totally cool. But what I've been noticing is I'm projecting these things, and then this person's showing me they are like a really busy person, like they have these things going on, and then they respond and they're totally reflecting all the things of like how I truly feel, like they're excited about me in their life and they want to do things, but they can't always respond right away, like they're a busy person and they're not, and all these things that it takes vulnerability for me to share this because it's very real to me, and again it's almost embarrassing that like I feel I should be at a certain point, but I hope this vulnerability can go a long way in really just showing you that we all are where we're at and we have to accept that, right? So now I'm noticing like, wow, like I had these things in my past that harmed me, that yes, I worked very hard and went from this dark night of the soul to this point where I'm at, but it's a never-ending evolution, and that's okay, right? That's okay. And I'm loving myself enough to express that and to lean into it and to really just accept who I am. That's my cat, by the way. He's fine. But yeah, so this is just a reminder for you to be kind to yourself, to lean into that vulnerability. What are you doing, dude? Lean into that vulnerability to accept where you're at, right? I have these lofty goals. I have these high standards for myself, but you're never going to get to where you want to be if you don't accept where you're at and you don't learn from it. So I continue every day to notice these patterns and address them in a more loving way, where instead of just like, you should be better than this, like you shouldn't let these little things bother you. Well, that's very condemning, and it's not very compassionate, and it's not encouraging, right? It's not encouraging yourself to work through it in a healthy way and like actually get to the bottom of it. It's more just like, well, ignore it and be better. That's basically what I'm telling myself in these last couple weeks. It's like, well, ignore it, be better. Ignore it, be better. It's like, no, focus on it, like accept it, like embrace it, like face your darkness, right? Face your shadow, get to know it, shake hands, have a cup of tea, and integrate it as a part of myself in acceptance and ultimately forgiveness. That's the path forward. So I encourage you to be vulnerable in your life, vulnerable with yourself, and just dig into who you truly are, right? It's not about staying in those emotions that drag us down, but it's about acknowledging them and taking them seriously, taking yourself seriously, and loving yourself enough to have that vulnerability and that sort of relationship with yourself where you can be kind, where you can be loving, where you can be like your own best friend, which is really what we're all here to do, right? Is to know our true authentic self, which at its highest level is the one infinite creator, is pure love, right? It is oneness, it is unity. So the closer that we can get to that within ourselves, the closer we are to God, the closer we are to freedom. So I encourage you to know yourself better, to love yourself more, and when you slip and you fall, and again, that's a perception, right? But when you teeter and you just don't quite get the result that you were looking for, just say, okay, I fell from grace. Review, how can I do better? While at the same time as being compassionate enough to say, hey, it's okay. This is why this happened. We're gonna lean into this. We're gonna examine this, and we're gonna get to the bottom of it rather than just ignore, repress, spiritually bypass, right? By just feeling, be better. By shut up and be better. That's not the way. Know yourself, love yourself, face yourself. I believe in you. Peace.